Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Big Screen Show. My name is Victor.
I'm Alex.
And we're finally here to discuss Severance. I've been wanting to for a long time, Alex. You know this. Severance Season 2 has now concluded. We're bringing this a little late, but nonetheless, I feel like we just had to bring you guys our thoughts on Severance Season 2. By the time we started our channel, Season 1 was already done. So we couldn't talk Season 1. But we're very excited to talk Season 2. I'm very excited to talk about Season 2. So let's get into that. Let's start with our general thoughts. Alex, what were your general thoughts of the second season of Severance?
Yeah, I'm going to have you lead off with that one since you're the one who's most excited.
Have me lead off? Well, man, first off, I just want to say I have loved Severance from the beginning. I think I watched it like just as the last episode had just come out of the first season. And then I just binged the whole thing because my friend told me about it, and I literally binged it that entire day because I was obsessed with the cinematography, the plot. I personally think the first 15 minutes of the first episode of season 1 is just automatically so gripping with such a strong hook that I just couldn't put it down. And so I've been waiting on this, what, 3 years is it? Yep, I think it was 3 years since the first season came out. And we're here now. And man, I think they only elevated. I think some people out there have been saying that Severance Season 2 took a step back from what made Season 1 strong. I personally disagree with that. I think that it really just shows off the same amount of strength, potentially, arguably even more, in just a different way. I could explain that in a more clear, not kind of descriptive way. In the spoiler section, we don't want to spoil anything if you're watching right now and want it spoiler free. But I think it still is very, very strong of a season. We're looking at things from a completely different lens than in the first one, and everything was done with such precision and attention to detail. I think that's my biggest thing with Severance is the attention to detail in a lot of what most people maybe would think was minute ways, but I think it's just so important and is what sets the show apart. I'd also like to say I personally believe Severance is the best TV show to come out since Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. Full stop, flat out. I do not think there has been a better TV show to been produced and released to the public since those two had come out. I will die on that hill. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine, but that's definitely my truth, no doubt about it. Feel very strongly about that. And yeah, I would give this season, man, it's tough. Usually I go in here with already a score. It's definitely between a 9 or a 10. We don't do decimals in the Big Screen Show, so you know what? We're gonna just say 10, bro. It was amazing, bro. I loved it, every second of it. Side note, I think the first 2 episodes of Season 2, episode 1 and 2 of Season 2 are also probably the best follow-up episodes coming back after an initial season of a TV show ever made. That's also another opinion I have. I think those 2 episodes are incredible. Incredible. What a fantastic way to return to a world where you've been away for 3 years. There's literally no better way than how they did it. It was phenomenal. And yeah, I'm just gonna give the season a 10. Yep, that's what it is. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm honestly, for real, I actually do want to agree with you on how the fact that some people are saying that this feels like a reduction, but honestly, I'm the opposite way, where I honestly do feel like what was so good about this first season, Season 2 actually builds up and expands it more and gives it more depth as it tries to give more answers while also creating a lot more mysteries and stuff, which will go a lot more into what's going to be the Season 3, which has already been confirmed to already be coming.
Yes.
So awesome.
Fantastic.
But yeah, honestly, the whole season has been phenomenal step up, especially with its direction, cinematography, as well as creating these more personal story and personal arcs with each character's enemies and stuff like that, having their own little personal journey, which honestly which I'm going to get into spoiler territory afterwards, where Ben Stiller and the producer was going more in depth on saying how like this season was kind of more meant to be more like a developing mature level for like the indies itself, which we'll go into later.
Yeah.
But honestly, everything about it just grows and grows and builds to like very more like an explosive, huge finale, which I can't wait to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, this actually gives adds a lot more greater perspective. It even gives a lot more expansive on like Lumen industry and all the things they do, which even then we still have no full idea ability of what they're capable of and how deep their business goes, because like it's still mysterious that they're still trying to give you answers bit by bit.
The work is mysterious and important.
yeah, which honestly I really like. It makes it more compelling. It makes you question everything because it keeps that mystery and tension spiking up every single time.
I've honestly never had a show make me ask myself so many questions throughout the entirety of it, even after running through 2 seasons. It's like after every new frame, I have like 10 more questions.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's honestly really great. Plus, I gotta give it to Adam Scott because like after seeing his performance this whole season, and I'm going back, I'm thinking back to like other movies and shows he's been in. He's like, this dude is like really is an underrated actor. He's just got that. He has that acting potential, that good quality, as he's where he passes off as like the regular everyman, but as what drives himself as a very compelling, dramatic protagonist.
This is his
even as, yeah, honestly, and how it shows different depths to like his acting and characteristics for his innie and outie.
Now this is his peak, and I hope this leads to bigger, more. How do I say, what would be the word? More sophisticated roles for him. Because he's been in lots of things.
Yes.
He's storied. He has a great catalog, filmography, but...
Well, Madam Web aside.
Yeah, but you know, he's just been kind of like... And never at the forefront. Rarely at the forefront, you know?
And he does play like more like supporting character type.
So I just really hope this opens up a new world for him if he wants it. You know, I mean, he is on the older side, but I think he can still do it because this show shows that he's got so much talent.
Yes.
Yeah. What you were saying?
Oh,
do you have a rating?
Yeah. So for me, I've been like you. I've been pondering back and forth between like either a 9 or a 10. Where some aspects of like the season where somebody is good, but there's still some passive where I wouldn't say it's as impactful or still has me wondering a little bit sometimes and kind of makes me question a bit of it. Like I'm like really in the span of like between like the 9 and 10, but I think just for the sake of this, I think it's sitting at a really hard 9 for me. Again, we're not doing percentages, but it's like really close to a 10, but I'm just gonna stick with giving it like a 9.
Okay. That's fair. I'm probably in that same boat, but I just love it so much. I just give it a 10 because it's just so good. Like, it does have its, like, chinks in the armor, but I just feel like, big picture, it's just not enough for me to just go down to a 9. It is a 10. It's just so good.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk spoilers. Let's talk specifics. We are giving you a spoiler warning, so if you do not want it spoiled, haven't seen the finale, haven't seen the entire season, you have been warned. We will be talking spoilers from this point on, so make sure to tune off if you don't want it spoiled. But we are getting into spoiler territory. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please make sure to do that. We really do appreciate it. Come join us on this journey, and if you hit that thumbs up button down there to let us know you like the video, that really does help us out. Now, spoiler territory, here we go. Now, I just want to say, I would love to, like, run through, like, every episode, but that would take forever.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, first off, I want to get your thoughts on the way we re-enter this world after 3 years passed with that 2-episode premiere. It's the perfect, like, yin and yang, bro. Like, it's Hello, Miss Cobell, episode 1, and Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig, episode 2. Individually standing alone and covering everything post the literal end of season for the innies and the outies in 2 completely separate hour I think it's genius.
Oh yeah, I'm actually probably how greatly well done it impacted. Where like even though it's been like I still can't believe it's been 3 years because I think it was I saw the first season of Severance. I think was about like 2 years ago, and 2 years ago actually.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm surprised about how like it felt like all this time felt like we never missed a beat.
Yeah.
Now it really kicked off right in the middle of it, where I really loved each episode was first two back to back was like literally the telling between like the Audi's perspective and the Innie's perspective, and like the footwork they had to do for like literally trying to man this whole situation after the Innies got loose with the overtime protocol, and literally seeing the impact of like Innie's actions and how that affects their Audis.
Yeah, no, it's genius. I could have never in a million years throughout the entire last 3 years that we went without the second season. You could have asked me literally a billion times, how do you think they should re-enter the world? And I would have never responded in this way. But this was the only way. I think now, after seeing it, it was the only way. It was the perfect way. It's just, I can't get over it, really. I rewatched those first two episodes like 3 times.
Yeah, you did. You did. You did.
I think, like I said, I think they're the greatest, like, re-enter, like, I'm sorry, dude, I love this show so much. It's so good. Like, oh, and also the titles, even just, like, the titles of the 2 episodes is genius, and it gives you like that little bit of insight. But yeah, and that's another thing too. It's like usually you go watch a full season of something, 3 years later another season comes out, and it's like we ended at a peak, at a climax, and then we have to come back and start rebuilding it back up. And it's like, no, like we pick up at the climax and then only continue to build that.
Yeah.
Which is great. So I love that. Just really wanted to get your thoughts on that, because I think like I said, it's incredible. But so one of the big things here that I wanted to talk about was I saw in one of those, they have those little clips now, like in HBO, where there's like a little 5-minute clip after the episode where they talk about the episode, that specific episode. And somebody, I don't know if it was the producer or Ben or, somebody, but they said season 1 was like, infancy.
Oh yeah, that's actually what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
For that section. Yeah, it's basically said like season 1 was basically like them at like their infancy stage, becoming adolescents. Because in season 1, they are like very bright. The Indies are like very bright and happy,
and kind of naive.
Yeah, naive, and then but then after like
and just also they just like do as they're told. With a little bit of like pushback, but
not that much pushback in the beginning, because like they're like very happy, like just very stagnant, being happy where they are, like literally no questions.
Infancy.
Yeah, but until then,
and then season 2 is like the adolescence.
Yeah, the theory.
You're a teenager now.
Yeah, they're teenagers.
Right.
Which also really carries on throughout literally almost the episode, where you can literally see that in like between the moments with like between Helly and Mark, as well as with Dylan and his Audie's wife.
Yeah.
And like it really shows where the feelings of like very intimacy, sex for the first time, when like first love, rejection, and then like this anger, and just kind of being more outraged and being more very defiant, which is shown through like, especially like in the later part of the episodes,
right.
where it's very defiant, and they're like, okay, we're starting to see the bullshit now.
Yeah. But it's all, whenever they said that, I couldn't stop thinking about it, because it makes perfect sense. And it's exactly what it is. Like, it's their teenager era, so to speak, and there's a lot of pushback, a lot of rebellion, a lot of exploring new things, things like that, and so I when you look at the 2 separate seasons through that lens, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, again, that's also why it said this season just builds upon that one, where like it's not lesser, it's great, it's more expansive, because that's growing and giving them more of their own character journeys to become their own person, which is actually the more prevalent thing that they've been trying to do when they started questioning things about themselves in the first season. Even more so with any Mark trying to be more of his own person with Helly, who doesn't even want to be her outie Helena, who's a terrible person who just lies and deceives as part of like the Egan company
Egan
thing.
clan.
Yeah, because honestly, this whole season just feels more like the whole Egan thing, and Lumen is a cult.
And yeah, absolutely, and it is like it's like, what the fuck is it?
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like what? Like it's like, we think. I'm gonna speak for myself. I watched season 1 and I get to the end and you take everything as you're shown it and as you're told it and you have millions of questions. Then you start this journey of watching season 2 with different things being shown, different things being told, and different things unfolding. Some questions are answered, but some just get even more confusing.
Yeah.
Like this one, the whole Egan topic, because at first you end season 1 thinking like, oh shoot, so she's actually an Egan, she's probably like blah blah blah, all this, and now you watch all this and you're actually just lost. You actually have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
At least, like, again, I'll speak for myself. I am more clueless on that specific topic, the whole Egan topic. I'm more clueless than I ever was. Like even with the Cold Harbor situation, it's like, why were y'all making different rooms with different emotions and testing it on her and then have to get rid of her? And y'all talking about it as like a historic thing. Like, what is the big goal? We still don't know that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I didn't think that next thing, possibly from what I was talking about with season 1, they're literally where they were more trying to get like the whole Severance thing done like globally, nationwide.
Yeah,
like that. Especially since they had like this whole like birthing retreat cabin and stuff like that.
Yeah,
for Severance females.
Yeah, and that's fine. But like, man, it's like. And are we even really still clear on the goats? No. Yeah. We're not at all. If anything, I have more questions.
Yeah, especially since it seemed like where they had the scene with the goats. Like literally a whole section where it's like literally breeding goats to then be used as like as a sacrifice, because like these goat people are basically seeing like those goats as like their children, and you're like, I don't want to sacrifice anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the significance of these goats? What are they using it for? Like using like the goat's blood or milk for something?
Man, but I think there's a deeper hidden meaning somewhere in all of this. Like, I mean, for example, well, I think a lot of the ideologies added and portrayed in this show overall come from like Bible like type of ideas, like religious. There we go, religious type of ideas, like with the whole Kier thing being, for lack of a better term, like God, and then you have the handbook that's like, for lack of a better term, the Bible, and things like this. Then you have this goat thing, but then you have all these other Kiers and Egans that have also been important throughout history of Lumen. It's a very, very cult vibe. Big cult vibe. Big, like... And I'm also like, do you run the world? That's my question. Or is it just this town? Which, another thing, I don't know if you know this, when they showed at the beginning of the season the Macrodat Uprising video, they said that these new ideologies about them getting snacks and like all this stuff, the new little perks that they added after the Macrodat Rising, which were BS, were added in all 200 and I think they said 205 or 6 countries that they have Lumen at. There's only 195 countries in the real world. So it's like, are we even on Earth in all of this?
That part might be a stretch, but I do see.
But there's only 195 countries in our planet, in our reality. And they said 205. Are we even on the same planet now? And also, if you look at some of the addresses, the labels, like, I think Irving was, going through his, like, little box where he has, like, things hidden and stuff. There's, like, mailing addresses for all these other, Lumen employees live at. And if you look at their address, it's, like, location Kier, PE. There is no abbreviation PE for any state in the United States.
Huh.
So it's like, where even are we?
Well, that wasn't because I didn't even think about it at all.
Bro, this is what this is why I said this in my general thoughts. The attention to detail in this show. That's what I'm saying. It's like minute to people where maybe it just goes over people's head, but if you really lock in, the show is so detailed and so deep. We might literally, this might be so sci-fi, we might literally not even be on Earth or in our real world.
Yeah.
These locations don't exist. There's no such thing as an abbreviation for PE in any of the 50 states in the United States, and there are not 205 countries in our world. There's only 195. We're somewhere else. Potentially. I know, it opens up a whole can of worms. And for Lumen to be everywhere, because he did say Lumen was in all 205 countries, it's like, do they run the world? Like, and it's also like maybe a hidden meaning for government. Potentially. You know, you could look at it from so many different angles. I think it's so deep. And we're just gonna have to find out in season 3, luckily. But here's one thing I do want to say. I hope they can wrap all this into a nice little bow come end of season 3 and just end the show there.
Unless they try to do a season 4.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying I hope that's not the case. Because if you look at it from the angle of, again, what we were previously talking about, infancy, adolescence, adulthood, boom.
Well, there's also the added adulthood for old elderly retired and wise that then leads to like death.
Okay, I didn't think about it like that. Sure.
Like I said.
I just don't want them to, some shows can go too long. Yeah. And they're so good right now. As long as they just keep going at the maintaining this quality, they don't need to make a 10-season show.
Yeah, but I think Ben Stiller has already thought of that, because I think with the amount of quality he's trying to make with all these episodes in season, I'm pretty sure he knows and tries to find like the angle. Cause I'm pretty sure he's not going to try like capitalizing and go like larger season. I feel like he's definitely going to go like maybe another season or 2, unless of course he does choose to end it on the 3rd season that. Maybe, but I'm pretty sure he has thought of this where he knows how he wants it to end. He's just coming up with it as we speak.
No, I agree.
Because, like, honestly, I
know he has a plan.
Yeah, I really have never thought about how brilliant of a director and creator that Ben Stiller is.
Round of applause for Ben Stiller.
Aside from when he did Tropic Thunder, which is still one of my favorite movies, favorite comedies.
Did you say aside?
Yeah, because he directed that movie, but I think I know he did that movie, but I never think he was on this level to making something of this quality for Apple TV with Severance, which is a crazy concept.
No, I'm just saying round of applause regardless, because legend, and then you come out the gates with this legend.
I know it definitely was a major surprise for everybody. I'm sure.
Just so good, so good. The direction is incredible.
Yeah,
the direction is incredible. I mean, I personally think this show's success is built on top of the backs of its direction and cinematography. Those are its 2 strongest points.
Yeah.
I fully believe that with a, let's just say, side gold star for its writing.
Yeah.
But I think the direction, the cinematography is its main attraction.
Oh, and on that is actually in episode 7, one of the cinematographers of the series directed it.
So good. Which is, again, we were just having this conversation off camera. That is Sweet Vitriol, episode 7, the one where Miss Cobell or Mrs. Selvig, whatever, goes and we learn a little bit about her past.
No, that was episode 8. Episode 7 is more on the backstory of Mark and his wife.
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, you're right. Q Voodoo, something like that. Yeah. Chica Voodoo. Yeah. You're right. But that one actually is the one I also wanted to talk about that episode. Yeah. That's the one where we go back and basically learn of Gemma's and Mark's beautiful relationship outside of Lumen.
Yeah, and I think that's the only episode where we actually see Outie Mark where he was actually happiest. Because in all these 2 seasons, he's been a depressed mess of a wreck, trying to either think that his wife was dead, or him trying to do everything he can in desperate means to try and get her back at any cost, even at risk of his own mind with the reintegration.
Dude.
Because, like, seeing Mark at his happiest in that episode, it's like, oh my god, that's so refreshing. It's like, their relationship was, like, so beautiful, so sweet and beautiful.
It was such a beautiful episode and such a heartbreaking episode all at one. It was my favorite episode of the season, which I told you prior to watching the finale. Finale excluded. I'm sure everybody's gonna be like, it's my favorite episode, but finale excluded. Episode 7, that one, it's my favorite one because it's also the only one, not just only in season 2, but in both seasons, that just has a completely different look to it. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's done on purpose and with intention, and like you said, the who is usually the cinematographer for the show directed that episode as well, and my god, what a job she did. It was phenomenal and so moving and just really, really, really high quality. However, I think in that episode, there's about, I think they said, like 22-ish minutes of screen time of the backstory that it goes on with Mark and Gemma that we're alluding to. My only thing is, like, I wish we saw more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it was just so good.
Yeah, but I think they definitely got the main good, strong points from, like, their meeting, their time of relationship, marriage, even up to the ultimate tragedy where it was believed that she was dead.
Oh, dude, and that's another thing. Come season 3, I'm sure we'll find out, but that's another thing. It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah, like what made them choose Gemma solely for this
whole thing? Actually, I didn't even. Yeah, why her specifically, and like why? How did you do it? Did y'all like? You know what I mean? Like, was the body that he said he identified as his dead wife a fake body? Is there a clone? Like, so many possibilities.
Oh man, it's great that you think that, because like at the second season introduced like this little girl, Miss Huang.
Yeah,
I was thinking like, is this basically like meant to be like a clone of Gemma taking over or something like that? Because like whenever she was on screen, I was thinking like, why are they having a child here as like their supervisor?
Everybody's
like,
thinking it.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I that's the one thing
I thought it was funny though.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's like the one thing that just irks me, because like I want an answer to that. Why a child? Like, what's the reason?
Hey,
how? Whose daughter is that? Whose daughter is that?
You and the innies are all wondering the same thing.
But no, like even
and everybody else. Why a child?
No, I was like Dylan and the rest. Like, the fuck.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, and we might never get the answer to that question.
I will literally be dissatisfied if I don't get an answer that I need an answer.
She's gone now. She's gone. She passed her training, so she's gone now. We might never see her again or ever find out why there was a child on Severance field.
I would hate that. I mean, I know Milchick wanted to get rid of her because she basically snitched on him about his like inadequacy as a supervisor, director type thing.
Yeah.
Especially like the major complaints he was getting, like, to what? Too many big words and like putting his paper clips in the wrong way. Like, the fuck? That's so petty.
Hey, and that's another. You see, it goes back to what you said earlier. Every character, whether you look at them in a good light or bad light, got so much more development in this season. Milkcheck, part of that. Like, developing that emotional, let's just say, situation between the audience and how they see and perceive what happens to him and what he goes through, and how we perceive that as the audience, but also how he goes about it with the entire, like, I mean, there's definitely, like, the situation of, like, being a person of color in the workforce at Lumen thing going on, and I thought that was, like, honestly kind of so interesting for them to just show in a, like, everybody gets a little bit of depth to them. Yeah. And you can see it bothered him.
Yeah, I could definitely start to feel from there, even though the dude still creeps me out a little bit with his fake smile and nice his
He's got
passive aggressiveness type thing.
great teeth.
That still creeps me out with his smile thing, especially even then, and like the series in like the season finale where he's doing that whole big dance number thing.
Hey
like that.
Man,
that
was epic.
I mean, I will say the dude has moved. He has moved. I will say that.
The boy can dance.
I'm like, I still can't believe it. Like, I didn't think they were gonna be able to like outdo that from what he did in last season.
The
but
jazz
like,
party.
yeah, but that boy, they went all out on that one.
Man,
That had me looking like, what the?
They said get a marching band. They knew good and damn well. They was trying to keep him busy, bro. They was trying to keep Mark and Helly busy. They knew good and damn well. Man, sadly, I had that spoiled for me, so it didn't come by surprise.
Oh, but I did never see anything about it. But adding on to the whole racial type thing, you're definitely right about that. Especially when Milchick was awarded like a race swap picture of Egan in blackface.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they serious right now? Because I feel like the whole Egan thing definitely has a little more like racial bias tension on that one.
Sure.
Because that thing about like, I don't think I've ever saw a black employee on the upper floors or anything with like the major like Egan structure, like Egan or Helena.
Yep.
In that fact, and the fact that they made him and kept him like down below to manage things, yet they get to choose to blame him for every single thing and just poke and prod over his own personal characteristics that basically makes his character unique. They see that as like a flaw and makes him unsuitable as a director supervisor. That's like fucked up. But also can be also a major thing in like real life where some people get like major complaints because some person didn't like this person's personality or complaints or anything like that, or has their like initial bias because this person seems like a hard worker or he just has like some attitude that's different from ours.
Yeah.
So I really do like the relatability on that one, and again, also shows how like very kind of fucked up and outrageous that the Egan Lumen is.
Oh yeah.
Which gets added more to like, what the fuck is this company?
Yeah. No, I know. It's like, what are they actually doing? Like, it's so crazy. No, but I mean, and side note, shout out Milchick for like standing up to Mr. Drummond.
Yeah, using those big words to basically eat shit.
Yeah, that
was awesome. He basically told them off because you can tell he's been holding all that stuff in for like a long while.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. But I think no better way to end it than to discuss the finale. You know, how it ends, how it all ends, where we leave off at the end of season 2, until we have to wait. Hopefully, oh my goodness, Alex, I can't wait another 3 years. I need that like tomorrow.
Maybe it'll be like a year and a half, maybe. Man,
but I'll tell you what, Severance was not being talked about in this way back when season 1 came out. Now it's definitely huge. People have caught on. I'm only thankful for that. So hopefully that just speeds up the process. Yeah. And bigger budget.
Yep.
Hopefully too.
Probably.
Even though we weren't dealing with a broke budget anyways because it's Apple. So
exactly. Plus not that whole situation like with Amazon, how they be bailing out so much money for their shows.
But you know, the difference is this show don't even gotta be expensive, bro. We rent out one office. 80% of the show.
Yeah, but then you gotta compare that to like Rings of Power, which costs like $1 billion.
Yeah,
which is very stupid because you think that
and you see where the quality at.
Yeah, and hell, even after watching from like Invincible season 3 and everything, they feel like Amazon could use some of that money they were using for Rings of Power to put into the animation for Invincible. Man, that's what they could have been doing because animation for Invincible cost $23 million.
Yeah, no,
even then, its animation stuff still has its own problems. So it's like, come on, appropriate some of that money to where people actually want it. Because nobody cares about fucking Rings of Power.
I said it once. I'll say it again. You definitely know this. Apple is top dog. One of. I think other than HBO in the content they're putting out. And their pockets are essentially bottomless. There's no end to them. And the difference is decision making and trust into the people that you are hiring to do said things. Yeah. You know, these big corporations get into, oh no, we want it this way, no, just let the creators do what they do.
Yeah, but honestly,
Ben Stiller, full control, and him and his team, and look at what we get. It's quality. But I mean, then you have Silo, Severance, Ted Lasso,
Dark Matter,
the morning show, so much. But the finale, Alex, I think the conversation between Innie and Audi Mark through a camera, only steps away. The whole idea as a concept to begin with is insane and incredible all at the same time, but also was filmed and edited in such a incredible way.
I have to agree, because I honestly did not imagine how their interaction would go. Because like with Mark having to do the whole reintegration thing, I honestly thought there was going to be like this huge like talk like within his mind somehow. If he was like unconscious with this state that he was in with his whole nosebleeds after the doctor tried to reintegrate his brain. But then his sister kind of like put a stop to that, and now the doctor's in the wind again.
Yeah.
So it's like that conversation they were going through with the whole like birthing cabin retreat thing, back and forth, inside, outside, going back and forth. That seemed like such a great, phenomenal conversation, especially going off how it starts up friendly, but it kind of goes off with like Mark literally trying to get like Mark S to try and go into like what he wants, trying to like maybe manipulate him a little bit in some form or another, or at least try to reason with him, but then try to lie to him a little bit. But then with like the journey that Mark S has been on with like his growing relationship and attachment to Helly and not want to lose her, and in fact them want to become like their own person, and again adds more to his development from like a child to a teenager trying to revolt, being
independence.
Independence, and just being like, what about what I want? You're not paying any attention to me. Like you're lying to me. And it creates this whole big antagonistic back and forth between that's just done so phenomenally well. It's like almost like a parent talking to their teenage child.
Yeah, no, it's so crazy. Like, oh man,
because like every step of the conversation, I was like, oh my god, he just has him, but oh my god, he's losing them. He's gonna put him against himself.
And I'm like, I'm also as the viewer conflicted, because like I want nothing more than for Audi Mark to get Gemma back and then like ruin Lumen. But like, I'll be honest, I could care less about the Innie Mark and Helly relationship. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan, but like the truth of the matter is the truth of the matter. It'll never be.
So, yeah, like, that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy behind it.
So yeah, it's a tragedy, but that's why I'm not really hung up on that relationship. It can never be. But I do get sad and conflicted in regards to never seeing Innie Mark again. Period. Because he'd essentially cease to exist. Because he'd never be Innie Mark again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
like it's more like a life thing rather than like a relationship between him and Helly thing. It's more like, dang. Innie Mark would never be Innie Mark again. And I like him.
Yeah, definitely seems like the more other version of Mark that actually has more full scope of like emotion, where we see him as his most sad, his most happiest, compared to Mark, who at the very beginning is just sad, depressed, and is kind of like in a state of in between due to losing his wife, which is understandable. It's understandable on both their parts, but it's like they each have their own strong points. But it's like we're so captured by Adam Scott and his performances with these two distinct characters, even though they're the same, that you don't want one to lose the other in their respective situations.
Yeah.
Which I think is like phenomenal writing.
Yeah,
that's been built up over time.
And not even just the writing, because I agree the writing was incredible, but for Adam Scott to pull that off in that way, I mean that's hard. That's a hard scene to film.
Yeah.
It's not just like two characters. It's almost like 5 different variations of each one, because you're going through different stages and different emotions for each character throughout the same single conversation. Like, it's crazy. It's really probably his peak in the show. Like, the best he's done, just performance-wise.
I have to agree.
Like, it's definitely the most demanding that's been asked of him in that moment to pull that off, and he did it. perfectly. But I think the highlight of that entire scene is the editing. I think the highlight of that is the editing because every time it goes from one person responding to the other, there's a new way of getting to that next part of the conversation. The editing it's never the same. Yeah. It changes every time. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's flat out. I think I was telling Alex this earlier off camera. I think it's one of the greatest scenes in TV history, flat out, all time. Not the, but one of. Flat out, 100%. Now, with that being said, I guess the big thing, you were talking about the marching band stuff, but, oh man. And speaking of someone playing multiple characters in quick succession, the entire rescue of Gemma from the floor below for both Nichin, who plays Gemma, and Adam, who plays Mark, was incredible. They each had to play really Nichin more so, but still they each had to play so many different characters within the same transition of just rescuing her outside of the bottom floor. Especially Gemma, to go from that first room where she was being tested, the Cold Harbor room. She has to be a Gemma that's clueless to Mark's existence.
And scared. And feel like just manipulated and controlled in fear of her life.
And then leave that room and come back to pure ecstasy because you just saw your husband for the first time in God knows how long. To then go back into Miss Casey mode and be confused, but okay, I at least know who this guy is, so he's telling me to follow him, I'll follow him, whatever.
Yeah.
And then back to Gemma, but now you're a Gemma that's looking at any Mark, making a heartbreaking decision. What a arc, brother. That's insane.
Especially after going through the whole thing that Gemma went through, literally being the only person going through all these different rooms for different variation of a personality characteristic that Luna is making. And again, what for and why only her? Yeah. Why are there not more subjects that they're using for this? What makes her so special or so unique to be used for this purpose? And it wasn't just me, or does it feel like the scientist dude that was working on her? Did he seem like he was obsessed, attracted to her?
Absolutely.
Obsessed, wanted to be with her?
Absolutely.
In a very creepy way?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. He definitely, he literally has feelings for her.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's all kinds of wrong.
Which is a whole different thing. And then when he lied to her about Mark being with someone else.
With a kid, bullshit.
And all this, yeah, he's definitely into her, and man, and also, but going back to that, the rescue, Mark also having to go through almost 3 different variations of himself, any Mark determined to go rescue Audi Mark's wife, then goes down,
then boom, Mark,
then it's Audi Mark, full blown. Pure ecstasy, oh my god, it's my wife, but also really focused and understands the mission at hand. Back to any Mark, still focused on rescuing his Audi's wife, but then switching to an Innie that's almost like you said, just tasked with this, I guess, rebellion. Do I want to rebel or do I do what's right? And I think, in my personal opinion, if Helly would have never popped up behind him, I think he would have eventually gone out the door. But Helly popped up?
Maybe, but then that also made the Hoot draft decision, because then we got, Gemma on the other side of the door just wondering, what's Mark doing? Not fully aware of, this whole any personality. And it's what are you doing? Come with me. Just banging on the door. But then we just see, any Mark only focusing on, what he wants within that moment. And it's probably these huge final moments that we don't even know. Because, him and Helly's story is literally a bit of a tragedy due to the fact that, Mark is going through reintegration and, he'll probably be gone soon, Mark S. But then we have Helly, who Helena is basically the Audi, and it's she wants to get rid of Helly. But then also, she probably seems a little bit more, jealous of Helly as well. Due to the fact that, she has what Helena doesn't, where she actually has people that care about her. She actually has, love, warm, loving relationship. Mm-hmm. Whereas her father is, cold, detached, controlling, and precise, where where he basically doesn't even see her as like his own daughter, just like a weak constitution of the Egan thing that that's part of, and yet he apparently is also seems like more intrigued and interested in Helly than his own daughter.
Yep.
Which is just like whole messed up in itself. It's like
exactly.
It makes me wonder how is this whole thing really gonna go? Because again, I can't see like Mark S and Helly ever actually being together.
I just can't.
Because like one other idea I did have was like what is like making like a whole like severance housing for people who actually do have like the severance thing, and then like living each different life in a different day, like on a schedule or something like that. Which again, it's probably pretty corny. I don't see it happening, but it's just a very nice thought. Because again, I don't want to see them losing each other. Because nothing good's gonna come down the road, especially leading down to the finale where we literally have like Marquez and Helly literally running down the hall with red lighting, just like running off with each other, kind of like two teens running off together, and like this huge passionate jump without thinking mindset.
Yeah,
where it's like they're together for like who knows how long, but if they're gonna be doing this, they're gonna do it together.
Seconds.
Exactly, but they don't care. They just want to be together.
I know, but it's like, it broke my heart. It broke my heart for Gemma. I'm such a Gemma fan.
I mean, yeah, it is that. Yeah, I definitely vote for Gemma in that moment too, because like I don't know what's going to be going down with her next season.
And it's like, who knows what they could tell her out there about what she saw. I just pray she finds Mark's sister.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if that happens, then I know she'll feel better.
At least she'll have somebody that she knows and give some information on what's been going on.
Though. Be told accuracies.
Well, yeah.
Real shit. Because that's another thing, too. She got out, but she didn't get out.
Yeah,
she's still like within the entire full-blown building.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, if you came back and then she gets caught and gets re-put back in a cold harbor, then we literally made zero progress at all. But at the end of the day, I think it is an incredible ending. And it's really almost crazy enough. It's almost like we're back at the same point we started with in terms of like cliffhangers from season 1 ending to season 2 ending. I just don't know where we go from here.
I don't know, but I do definitely feel like for the third season, for the opener, it's gotta be these two intersecting stories between what Mark S. and Helly did while they're running back into like their offices and everything, and then leading up to like Gemma trying to exit the building. Maybe with Miss Cobell somehow assisting in some way, along with Devin, in like maybe like a car getaway as she tries to run and escape through the building.
Yeah, and that's as far as my mind can take me.
Yeah, because I have no idea of anything that's going to go on after that. I have nothing. I can't even make a prediction.
I literally can't either. And I just have so many, like, oh my goodness, it's so crazy. I cannot believe it ended that way, and it's so heartbreaking. I hate moments like that.
No, you do.
It breaks my heart. Because I'm such a big... I love love.
Yeah, you do.
So for that to happen in that moment was just so heartbreaking. I about shed a tear when finally they left the cold harbor room and it's both their Audis personalities realizing that they're back in like physically together. Oh my goodness. I was full of goosebumps, almost crying. It was so beautiful. But we'll see. I mean, hey, hopefully, like we said earlier, hopefully it's sooner than 3 years. Like we have, but if I have to wait 3 years, 4 or 5, I'll wait.
As long as we get that good quality storytelling.
Yeah,
and that good cinematography and direction right there.
I'll be there. That's all I know is I'll be there because this is appointment television. This is top-notch quality television. Undoubtedly, in my opinion, I think this is just such an easy take. The best TV show made in the 2020s? I don't think that's debatable, like, at all. like at all. Like actually, if you tell me otherwise, I just think you're wrong. But all time, one of the best shows ever made. So good. Shout out Ben Stiller, man. Crazy. Any other thoughts? Season 2 Severance. Oh, real quick. Let's go around and say what our favorite episode of the season was. What was yours?
Well, me, I'm gonna go with like episode 4, where they're on this whole company retreat.
Oh, the company retreat, man.
That was
what
so
an episode.
good, because it gives like a much greater scope on like how far the influence reaches for like their whole like overtime protocol thing, or like whatever the protocol was called back in that episode, as well as giving like a whole new dynamic and everything with like Mark and Helly, who, as he turned out, Helena was like impersonating Helly, whereas Irving was like the only one who could really tell the difference. And it's like she was so Helena was Helly throughout all these episodes, and like we never even noticed. That was like the biggest shocker for me, and like only Irving was able to notice, while everyone else didn't. And it's like such as a scene where Irving was trying to.
That was a shocker for you?
Yeah, because like apparently all up to that episode, it was all Helena. It wasn't Helly.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's the most shocking moment, especially then when Irving was literally trying to drown Helena or to get Milchek to bring Helly back. That was like shocking, but like that was like an incredible moment. But it's like the dread of like seeing like, oh my god, they actually fired Irving, and then leading up to like an episode where he's like the episode where they're gone, where he's gone, and then they'll allow him to like literally like try either ignore it or just get caught up in the moment of him being gone, and just kind of affects the dynamic of the group that kind of gets splintered a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, that didn't take too long, but still, we have Dylan who's doing this whole thing where it's like he was meeting his outie self's wife. It also made me think of, like, is it really cheating if it's simply with yourself?
Man.
That's like I don't know.
It provokes thought.
Yeah.
It provokes thought, which is just incredible. That's why I think this show's so brilliant. The central focus idea of being severed is just makes you think.
Yeah.
So much. So many different scenarios. That one being one of them. What if, let's assume Audi Mark and Audi Gemma get back to living life and they have conversations like, oh, catch me up. Well, I had sex with 2 different versions of Helena Egan. How does wifey feel about that? You know, things like this. Like, if I just go to work, come to find out, my innie was out in there doing shit. Is it, you know what I mean? Like, it provokes thought. It just makes you think. It's so crazy. Like, who knows, man? Who knows? On Dylan's specific point, I feel for everybody involved. Literally all 3 of them. Innie and Audi, Dylan, and the wife.
Yeah.
I feel all different points of views. I could not relate. I could agree with all of their mindsets. Yeah. Literally. I could agree with any Dylan that, man, like, I deserve love too. I could agree with Audi Dylan, like, man, what? Why are you doing that bullshit? And I can agree with the wife, like, dang, I ain't happy here. And he actually kind of reminds me of a good time. You know? It's all valid. Yeah. It's crazy.
Okay, I tell you this, I definitely could not be severed. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was thinking in season 1 I could. Now I'm like, dude, I don't know, dude. It gets sloppy real quick.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'd be too worried about what my other self is doing. It's like, is there anything I'm like?
You'd be fine.
And probably, but I just don't like the idea of like not knowing what my other self was doing within that time where I wasn't like there.
Hey, maybe your innie's actually a fun guy.
Just fuck off.
He'd be in there trying to party. I'm just playing. No, who knows? Shoot, it's crazy. Like, it's such a... I definitely, like, at the end of season 1, I was thinking, like, man, I'd be severed. Like, that'd be cool. Now, just so much could happen.
Yeah.
And it is, like, on a foundational level, like, we are literally almost essentially creating a completely new identity.
Yeah.
Like, just in the world, I mean, not for ourselves. Obviously for ourselves, but in general, it's almost like adding a new person to the world.
Yeah, new identity, new self.
It's a completely new person, and so say one day I quit, like that person's now dead, essentially.
Yeah,
that's why we had to have the funeral for Irving, which I thought was hilarious, but also like loved. Yeah, no, it's crazy. But side note, I think the Helly being or Helena pretending to be Helly thing, I saw that coming. What I didn't see coming was her basically going through with the sex with Mark. I was like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah, but I think adding more to the fact that, I think Helena was like envious of Helly and like she wanted a piece of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, for sure. You brought up a great point with that. And you brought up another great point with Dylan's whole plot. I mean, we could literally probably sit here and have like a 3-hour episode, but we're not going to because we could talk about Dylan's thing for a while. Because that's his biggest thing. And real quick, we'll touch on this. Irving and Bert. That whole thing. And now he's gone. Irving's gone not only from Lumen, but he's like gone. He's gone from here. He's gone from the city. He's gone from the little town they're in. And it's like, what are we gonna know or find out anything else about him ever again?
Yeah, I would say leaving.
I'm so curious.
Yeah, I would say him leaving was something I didn't expect, and I thought they was gonna do more with it. I would say I'm both kind of disappointed, but I'm also thinking like it is kind of a send off in a way for like in both perspectives, like both A and Audi, as well as kind of how it conforms onto Dylan's side of the story, where he either kind of break out from like the normal circumstances where he's happy with like normal stuff from the job, but he wants more, and it's kind of reflected on that since they were like this season leading up to when they're gone, they were getting like pretty close. But like they were close in the first season too, but like this one a lot more, gets it more emotionally close, understanding and getting more closer as he can in certain points.
Yeah.
So I guess say that Irving leaving, because like I know it said about Luna having influence and everything, how Bert had a job like getting people, like driving people off here and there, but like I don't know, because I was kind of expecting a little bit more with that one, but I do also did like the stance where like even though their innies were like more romantically attached, even their outie stuff, they still felt a sense of like attraction with each other, and they both wanted to, but it's like kind of a forbidden romance thing because like Bert is married, but then Bert's husband is kind of like is not understanding on like any perspective of itself, but then he still is worried on the outie side as well, considering the whole. They just felt that because even then, when they're having dinner together, you felt that connection with Irving and Bert in some way.
No doubt. Yeah, I think. I don't know if it was said in the show or after in one of those, kind of like recaps of the shows or whatever. But somebody said, "Love transcends Severance," and I think that's what we're seeing in that. It's like they really do still have that connection. They just know it's not possible out here.
Yeah, so that's kind of bittersweet.
And accepted it.
Yeah, because that's what really made it bittersweet for me in like that aspect. But then also again more with like what episode 8 was with like Miss Selvig, Miss Coble's story, where honestly I didn't feel like we really needed all of that for that one episode. I feel like that could have been put in it somewhere, and I feel like it almost kind of like detracts a little bit for what's going on in the stories in between. Which again, it's not a terrible episode. I just think it's the weakest episode. But we get her backstory, but I feel like we didn't really need to give her all that larger backstory. I feel like you could have done that where with like more of like a show don't tell with like certain aspects. But for what you said early on off camera, where we see her with her journals and stuff, where some of the ideas that Lumen had, they took from her, and also the place that she came from, they're kind of losing resources and people, where it seems like Lumen kind of like let that town go to die and took away the resources or something like that.
Yeah.
So I guess there is a certain intricacy there in how like she was kind of like brainwashed, and maybe stuff from in that episode might get pushed more into what's going to happen in the 3rd season. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that episode right now maybe seems a little like too much time for not so much, and that's fair. But I think come season 3, we'll be looking back at that episode as something where we're like, ooh, all this info matters.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Yeah, so I'm hoping so. Because again, that's why I'm feeling more of like the season. It just feels like more like a 9 for me instead of like a straight up 10. Even though I will say a lot of great stuff in there, still build something great. But it's just that little tiny thing in there that kind of just lessens it for me.
Yeah,
which I think could have been handled probably a bit better, but it's done well enough where it's like I don't hate it, but it's just something that kind of ticks at me.
Whew. Yeah. Well, my favorite episode, going back to that point, is episode 7. Episode 7, the backstory of Mark and Gemma is beautiful. The fact that it's like the most unique looking and shot episode in the entire show, regardless of season. Obviously, already has it stand out, but then the execution of it is just phenomenal. Like, I remember thinking to myself at least like 4 different times while watching that episode, like just to myself, just thinking, wow, this episode's incredible. And I usually probably said that to myself at least once an episode, but with that one specifically, I couldn't get. I watched that one twice too. I just love that episode. I watched first 2 episodes 3 times each, 7th episode twice, and I will probably go back and watch the finale a second time too. Because that one's really rewatchable too.
Oh yeah,
the finale
for sure,
fantastic.
For sure.
But yeah. So episode 4, and mine's episode 7. So yep, those are our favorite episodes. Anything else to add? Season 2, Severance.
Actually, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, we covered it. I think that's about what we can get out in about an hour or so. We try not to bring you guys videos any more longer than an hour, because at that point it gets a little long. But man,
this thing just had like so much to talk about for this whole season alone.
Yeah, this whole season, and we could probably make like 3 more videos and just talk about Severance, because there's so much. There's so many, theories, ideas, questions. I mean, questions, my God. So many questions. But nonetheless, you heard it here. We love it. We're fans. Let us know what you think. We love to know anything that you're thinking about Severance, theories, ideas, thoughts. Let us know down in the comment section. We'd really love to know. Especially me. I'm trying to get in touch with any and everybody that's down to talk about Severance, because I've been loving the show for 3+ years now, and I'd love to talk about it with other people that also love the show. Now, let us know in the comment section if you have anything to add. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, because it really does help us out. And come join us on this journey. Hit that subscribe button and follow along for more videos like this. We try to bring you guys videos at least once a week, sometimes more. But with that being said, we are The Big Screen Show. This was our Severance Season 2 discussion, review, recap. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.